These pictures are so human. They're not posed. Most of them, a lot of them, are not posed for pictures. They're people engaged in a natural kind of activity, and most of them aren't famous people or people that we ever heard of. They're just Tel Avivians in the 1920s doing what Tel Avivians did.
Nostalgia, a life that I think is gone. When I look at the masses of people, they seem to be more orderly than we are today, seem to be more cultured than we are today. It's just a picture, and one picture says 1,000 words or something like that. There's an expression.
Shimon Korman was an unknown amateur photographer in the city of Tel Aviv of the 1920s. The collection he left includes over 1,500 pictures which document Tel Aviv of the 1920s and the 1930s from a very unique point of view. Only after he died in 1978, not leaving behind any relative, these pictures were revealed by chance in his modest flat.
אנחנו רואים כאן אחד מתוך מספר צילומים שצילם קורמן.
One of the main issues is the services which provide a modern city. For example, the barber in Tel Aviv. A man came to a barber at least twice a week, not just for a haircut, but to shave. We can see a typical barber in a very homely atmosphere, mainly by the carpet. We know that the period is 1923 because we still have the oil lamp and not an electric one. Or, for example, Anton the barber, who was a very famous barber in Herzl Street in Tel Aviv during those years. The old residents definitely enjoyed his services and remember him kindly.
Batya Carmel, an expert on the documentation of Tel Aviv, came across the unique treasure Korman left through his last living friend.
וכשאני עברתי על האוסף, הבנתי שהאוסף הזה הוא אוסף שיש לו חשיבות היסטורית רבה ביותר.
When I went over the collection, I understood that it has a significant historical value. The aim was to show its unique importance compared to professional photographers in order to recognize the life of Tel Aviv from different aspects in a very critical period of the city's life, from a neighborhood to a city. Through Korman's pictures, you could really learn about the significance of Tel Aviv as the financial and cultural center in those years. The main thing about Korman is his focus on the human side, not the physical side of the town.
I understand this picture impressed you more than all. Why?
Why? Just seeing Keren Kayemet that it is today, going through the streets in a parade, as it was then, it was just sort of magical that it existed, that as a child in Canada, not at 1926, but we went around with our little pushkek collecting money for Keren Kayemet, and here I see that they really were working with trees in 1926. It just was very nice to see them doing that.
He filmed many things that a professional photographer didn't get to, like leisure time. Korman was actually mad about sport, and one can study a lot about football in Tel Aviv during those years. But it doesn't just focus on the group, but on all of the game from the beginning, the policemen making order, the men and women arriving to the game. Through his camera, you saw the events from the beginning until its end, and that's one of the biggest advantages of Korman. Korman, in The Visit of Balfour, didn't just show the speeches and official events, but also what came before. He filmed the decorations and special policemen who came to make order. This group in this directed picture is of a special policeman brought to bring order. He directed them and placed them in height order. We have an important historical picture which also shows the humorous touch so typical of Korman.
Korman was a single lonely man who made his living as an English teacher. He had a lot of free time for his photography.
I think it's his grandson or his great-nephew or something.
Dalia Glicksman, a visitor, found in the exhibition a few pictures of her grandfather, pictures she has never seen before.
Unbelievable, I just came to look around and then I found my grandfather here. He was one of the famous people in Tel Aviv, in all Tel Aviv.
במסגרת ביקורו של איינשטיין בארץ ישראל ובתל אביב,
When Professor Einstein came to Israel and Tel Aviv for a visit, Corman has a unique picture of him. Whilst everyone filmed him at the city council, Corman caught him in a tour out of Tel Aviv, where they were building the first electricity station in Israel. Corman stood on a high building opposite this group to film them.
Some of the buildings Corman documented during construction still exist in Tel Aviv, like the Platin Hotel built in 1926 in Nachalat Binyamin Street, corner Echad Ha'am, and the Great Synagogue in Allenby Street built in the same year. But many of these buildings no longer exist.
He shows a lot, he portrays a lot, a life, a sadness for having lost some of these beautiful buildings that I see that are in the pictures. It's some of the things that are not here, and he's captured it. So they're here forever because he's captured it.